Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good noon, good night, good dawn, good day, good twilight, good dusk, good post-meridian, good ante-meridian, good desk. Welcome to The Long Shot. It is a podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Sean Conroy. With me today on the podcast, as always, the light at the end of the merry-go-round, Amber Kenny is here.
Hello.
So we have a lot to get to tonight. I mean,
we do.
Well, yeah, I had a whole thing of YouTube comments that I was gonna. I collected a bunch of YouTube comments because people were writing a bunch of stuff this week, which is cool. So if you're one of those people, we will get to that. And if you're not one of those people, feel free to leave us YouTube comments on our
jump in. The water's fine.
YouTube page, very easy to find. Sean Conroy Gets Happier is our YouTube page for the Long Shot Podcast, which is a podcast. I have been catching a lot of shit from a variety of sources about SEO and branding, and some of the comments this week were even about that, of like, how the fuck am I supposed to find you guys? There's another thing which is it's
an accomplishment. It's like we're Wordle, but a podcast.
Welcome to The Long Shot, the Wordle of podcasts.
If you can figure it out, you can listen.
If you're here, your score is 420, baby. The score is always 420 somewhere. What I was going to say is on iTunes, if you look for the Long Shot Podcast on iTunes, obviously there is another Long Shot now, which is douchebag McSimilin and at the NBA player, whatever his name is, I forget his name.
Well, and we have two different profiles.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is somebody pointed out to me?
I learned, and because I was very confused a little bit myself.
Right. So somebody. Oh, so you've been doing some social media experimentation as well. Somebody pointed out to me that if you look for the Long Shot Podcast on iTunes, the old version of the show comes up.
Which makes sense. It probably has more reviews and
I guess, but I guess what kills me is like, why isn't it all one thing? Like it's the same show,
We must have
Well, we did take a break at one point. We sort of said.
I'm guessing when we ended.
Yeah.
There was some sort of valve that was shut.
Steve iTunes was like, well, that's a wrap.
Yeah, it was
bye-bye. And he locked the vault.
Yeah, it was soldered shut. Right. Like you can't. And so we had to start afresh.
By the way, I'm just trying to figure out. Can you say something? Because I'm trying to figure
out. Hello. Do I sound weird?
It's coming out of my. It's coming out of my computer, not my headphones. So I don't understand that. But let's. I mean, it's plugged in and it's.
You can choose in settings where the sound goes. I just know this because I got a new computer at work and I've had to do all of this from scratch again.
Well, I just turned up the volume on my headphones and now it's coming into my headphones, and maybe that was it. By the way, this is the segment on the show that we call Tech Issues, and it happens every week at this point.
It's a little bit later than it has been, so that's good.
Usually it's right at the beginning of the show where I get to start the recording.
Or you hit record and then just sit there.
Right. What a fucking genius. All right. Well, it is a part of the show that we always call checking in. So why don't we start today with Amber? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it might be a normal length show, but I requested that we keep it on the shorter side because
we'll keep it on the shorter side. Get going. Let's go. Wrap it up.
Right, okay. I'm going to see a show with Abby.
I know Abby.
Yes, tonight. But to me, it's funny. I'm curious to see what you think. Abby came and saw the Liquid Feet show in February,
I saw Abby at that show and I felt terrible afterwards because I saw her as I was leaving and I didn't
Mhm.
realize it was her until after she said hello. And I was like, hey. And then I started walking away and
Oh,
I was
you
like,
just thought it
holy
was like
shit, that's Abby.
a
Yeah.
rabid fan.
And I felt, yeah, no, no, no. There's no such thing as rabid fans. I'm well aware of that. Thank you for bringing that up. But I, I didn't know who it was. And I'm terrible with faces and names. And I was like, hey, like,
And
just
it's been
around the comedy
literal
scene.
years because it's
Yeah.
probably been a while since
Had not seen
even
her for
before
many,
the
many years.
pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I will I'll send her some flowers or something.
She's okay. But she came to my show in the beginning of February, and there was a performer that we had as a guest, Chad, um, who does clown work, and she was impressed by him, and she was like, "Would you like? I would like to go see one of his shows. Would you come with me?"
Oh,
And I said, "Sure." And so then she sent me like she
hey.
bought tickets,
Oh, she
and
already had one.
yeah, and it was like for the end of March, and I was like, that feels strange. I think he does clown shows like 3 times a week, but sure, I will go see this clown show with you in 6 weeks for some reason.
Right.
And, but then she's like, "Oh, I just got word that show got rescheduled," and I was like, "Okay, to April 10th," and I was like, "Great, I'll see a clown show with you in 2 months." Like it doesn't really make any sense to me, but
Well, as you
but
know, clowns are the hottest ticket in town, you
I
know.
mean they kind of are, but I also 2 months is such a strange amount of time that I legit kind of forgot about
Right.
it. And so now I'm like, oh right, that's tonight.
Yeah. No, I get that. I write things on my whiteboard because I'm like, I will not remember, you know. And sometimes I mean, this just happened a few days ago where I had a appointment to meet with somebody from like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and I just forgot about it. I didn't have like I don't have a good. We've talked
You
about
don't have a system.
yeah,
You don't use Google Calendar.
no, I don't know. Is Google a good brand of calendar? I don't know. I'm not,
I've had this conversation with a lot of friends, and I found it really eye-opening and interesting because I have my whole life in Google Calendar, like with some exceptions, and that's the ones I forget about.
right.
Um, and I have a lot of friends who are like, "Oh, I've never even thought to use that," and I realize I've been trained slash brainwashed slash indoctrinated. What is that word? What part did I?
No, it is.
Okay.
And that reminds me, I mean, I'm always thinking about going because I have a lot of health issues sometimes, and I'm like, oh, I should go to Google Docs. Everybody's always talking about Google Docs, and I have not been. So, but I am being indoctrinated. So,
But because at work, that's how I know what meetings I have every day
right.
is in the Google Calendar. So it's just I'm I'm already looking at it every day, so it might as well throw in my personal stuff
So
too.
you do actually look at it every day to see what you have that day.
Yeah, I mean that's how I know what meetings I have. Like I've been burnt when like if I have an 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. meeting,
Right.
work from home, it's like, oh, like it just changes your morning if you aren't prepared for it. But
So you're advocating for Google Calendar.
I don't even know if I could say advocating. I truly was surprised that other people don't use it. And then I realized it makes sense if you don't have a job that you're so dependent on Google Calendar all day long, then like it wouldn't be routine.
But it would make sense for me because like when I schedule a class, it just because of the way
It
Zoom
populates.
goes
Yeah.
right, well, I didn't know the word populates, but yes, it goes right into it zips right into Google Calendar. Whatever the machine does, it zips it right into Google Calendar, and there it is.
It zip zap zops it right out.
It pops up every week, and I'm like, oh, I have this class. And so, yeah, I think that might be a thing because I have still the leather organizer that I used to use all the time. And I found that incredibly helpful. And then all of a sudden, everything became electronic. And I just didn't have a schedule anymore. I just did not have a
Well,
way.
then use the leather organizer. But the only rub is if things change, if it's written in ink, your brain doesn't know, like,
There's the rub ratio.
no, but like on a Google Calendar, you can just change the time and location and day willy-nilly, and it's still the same event. But if it's written in pen, you're like, is this the new one? Is this the old? Like, did I forget to update it?
Right. How did I populate this? Did I repopulate it? What's the population of this event? You know.
Jeff and I always kind of compare corporate lingo that we use a lot, and
stuff is also incredibly useful. And because I've never worked in an office, I have no concept of any of it. You know.
But lately, deploy is a big one in my role. Is like, oh yeah, who's going to be deploying that? Or okay, we'll come up with the plan and the funding, but that team's actually going to deploy. And but Jeff is like, oh yeah, we haven't used deploy yet. I'm like, well, it's probably coming.
Gonna find a way to sneak into the movies. Oh yeah, what's deploy?
Deploy. What's the other one? I don't know. There's another good corporate speak, but it is helpful just because you instantly sound like it's the purpose of language to be a part of a culture, and you instantly sound like you belong there if you're speaking the same language as everyone else.
Right. Right. I mean, like if I was to say to you right now, hello, darling, you would know exactly what I was talking about because you're part of the culture. But there are people who are new listeners who would have to figure that out by listening.
Yeah, they'd have to Google the old version of the long shot.
Where's the Google Calendar? Set up a date.
The valve was closed, and then they have to unclose it, and then they have to go. Yeah, couldn't be more interesting. The other thing I wanted to check in with is it is the day after Easter. I don't know about you. We're not like a particularly religious Christian household. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
I mean, that actually presents an opportunity for me. So I will be coming back to tell you about Jesus Christ, our Lord.
You have good news for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you accept Jesus as your personal savior, you're a lot better off.
We're not a particularly religious household, and like there's no kid. I feel like Easter is a holiday that you're either religious or it's like kid centric. Like it's about the Easter baskets and the egg hunts and the dyeing the eggs. So like it's sort of a non-day here. And I wanted to check to see if it's the same for you or we're just depressing.
No, I never do anything for Easter. It was a thing when I was living in New York, but that's because my family is religious.
Right. Well, and it's a family event. Like I could see if my family was around, we'd probably have dinner and stuff like that.
So I would always go up to my parents' house for Easter dinner, and we'd have, I think we had like slaughtered lamb and the blood of Christ, that kind of stuff.
Graphic.
But now it's not, for me, it's not really anything,
Yeah, same for us. But it was a really lovely day. So in the afternoon, we were like, let's just take Smudgy to the park. Let's do something. Let's get some fresh air. It's a day off. And there's one particular park that we love taking Smudgy, and it's usually on the mellower side. There's peak park times and non-peak park times, but it's like a mellower park. It was hopping. We couldn't find parking at first, and it was just like there were so many parties, and it was so fun. Like there was people barbecuing, and they had set up volleyball courts. I almost said course, but that's wrong. And
I don't know. That might be you could do that, like
right in my language.
Volley golf,
and like tons of people, tons of food, and kids running around, and music playing, and it wasn't just like one big party. It was it was like a bunch of settlements. I don't know how else to describe
I
it.
think that's the word for parties.
No, like,
People create their own. I mean, I don't know if you know about Jamestown, but that was originally a party, and then it didn't go well.
it went bad. Yeah.
Um,
But it was so fun. Like it made me like, oh man, I wish should we like hang out with people on Easter? This looks like a lot of fun.
that is always an option.
I know. I was like, maybe next year. Or maybe we'll just do a park hangout sans holiday. Yeah. To have more elbow room.
Was there? I mean, you're saying that people were barbecuing. Are there like barbecue pits there?
Oh no, it was like
going
super
out
legal. Like people had like wheeled in. That's also what was so impressive is it's just this park with grass and trees. Like it's not a slide and it's not a playground park. It's just an open grassy tree place.
Right.
And people had brought in tents, chairs, tables, their own barbecues. Like it looked like a lot of work what they did, to be honest. They like moved in.
Well, here's the other thing I'll say for next Easter, because, you know, honestly, yesterday I was a little bit like, I wish I was partying right now.
Yeah.
I have here in my building a bunch of grills down by the pool, and
two things that I've heard about quite a bit and I've never experienced.
The invite is in the mail, and you're gonna put it in Google Calendar so it'll remind you as it gets closer that it's happening. But I just think that would be like, what the fuck, man? We've been through this goddamn pandemic, and it's
Let's enjoy each other and the world. And
yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Well, and it just made me happy. What I'm about to say is so dumb, but just like, oh, look at all of these people having a good time, and it's not at all tied to like watching TV or looking at their phone or buying something. Like it's just being outdoors and being together. I mean, they had to buy a lot of stuff to make the party, but
it's not consumerist culture.
Yeah, no, it was just, it's like nice that exists still. You don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's also what I'm saying is like, I feel like I was talking to somebody the other day about during the pandemic, and they were like saying, oh, we were with these people because these people were part of our pod, and these people, we hung out with these people a lot, and these people and whatever.
And you're like, that's a pretty big pod, my friend.
Well, not even that. I didn't even want to get into that, but I was like, I just was by myself the whole time, and I didn't like try to get to be a part of anything or ask anybody, you know. And like, there are people out here that I have relationships with that I enjoy, that I like to see.
Right.
Why not spend more time doing that instead of, oh, I'm going to sit home and watch Succession, which was a crazy episode last night. But
so good. Or like doom scrolling Twitter.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
You just get, again, not a new idea, not a new thought, but you're just, I was looking at Twitter because I wanted to see people's takes on Succession, honestly, because it's almost like what you're saying now. It's like instead of having a conversation, it's like I'm reading other people have a conversation, and it hits that same need. But even just doing that, like, oh, oops, I stumbled upon something horrific. Oops, you know what I mean? Like it's
right. I mean, yeah. Well,
horrible.
I'm going to refrain from mentioning all the shit that people already know about that is fucking awful. It's all fucking awful. You know, the world is a shit show. So, you know, and I'm sure there are happiness experts who would talk about this because I had a podcast for a while called Sean Conroy Gets Happier. I made a YouTube channel for it.
You can find at the Long Shot Podcast
on the Sean Conroy Gets Happier. But you know, that's what gives you fulfillment in life is friends and people you spend time with and that you enjoy being around, as opposed to like, you know, oh, look what this person said about this event on Twitter, you know. Oh yeah, that's messed up that that thing happened in that place. Oh, look over here. This person's mad about this other thing, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm being non-specific, but I'm sure people can sub in their own things on Twitter because that's all it is.
Yeah.
So you guys partied in the park.
Well, we just walked around, the three of us, and avoided walking through people's parties and avoided having head-on collisions with other dogs. But it was just a really nice day. We found a little corner that wasn't occupied, and we sat down in the grass for a while. Then we came out. We weren't there long, but it was really lovely. It was nice.
And you got to feel good about the fact that the disciples showed up and the tomb was empty because
Right.
Jesus was risen from the dead, you know?
But I think both Jeff and I, like, we were joking, but there might have been some truth to the joke of like, oh man, how come we weren't invited to any of these parties?
Yeah, it's a big day. And I wonder if part of it is the pandemic stuff. Like, we've spent several years not doing that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was a big Easter person.
It's an excuse. It's an excuse to celebrate.
Like, yeah, here's a time that we can get together and share a repast and populate our Google calendars with some event, you know.
Right. So again, this park that we go to is a little bit quieter and sleepier and farther away. But on the way home, we pass by Griffith Park proper. And we call that the big show because we're like, I don't know if Smudgy's ready for the big show, like, and we were like, oh, the big show was even more poppin'. It was like there was picnics. You know how usually when you look at a park, there's like people having birthday parties sort of sporadically. They were almost all like nearly touching, and they were all the way to the road. Like usually people avoid touching the curb.
From each other.
Yeah, but it was like they were everywhere. It was crazy. I wonder if Easter is one of the bigger park days of the year. I was thinking maybe that and 4th of July. Something to think about.
Weather, given the year, given the joy of the occasion.
And we've had such a rainy season, so I think people are also just like not taking for granted nice weather.
All right, so we'll at some point we'll grill by the pool. That'll be a thing. It doesn't even have to be next Easter. It could happen before that.
That's what
could be sooner than later. We'll see.
It's a threat, but
all right. Here's my checking in. I'm not going to be able to do this exactly right, but I'm going to try. I went to see a friend of mine the other day and visited her at her place.
Okay.
And we were in her place, and she got a text from the building manager saying, whoever is at your apartment just dropped a sweater out front. Do you want them to come and get it? And so my friend was like, did you drop something out there? And I said, I don't think so. And then the manager was like, it's a blue sweater or whatever. And I was like, no, that's definitely not mine. And my friend, of course, was like, I guess he sent a picture. And so she looked at the picture and she was like, oh yeah, this is a brand you would never wear.
Damn.
I was like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? Zara, are you familiar?
Oh yeah. Yes. But also, was it sweater as in like a knit sweater?
So I didn't ever,
because I don't know if I guess I have seen you in a sweater, but I think of you more as a sweatshirt guy.
I don't think I've had a sweater in years,
Yeah.
I have, the weather's too nice most of the time, and I usually will wear like a
hoodie.
A hoodie of some sort.
Yes.
not that I didn't used to have sweaters, and sweaters are fine, but it's not my thing.
Not that there's anything wrong with sweaters.
And certainly not that brand. Ugh. I don't think that was the intention. It was more like that brand is too fancy for you. So,
Or just not your style, not your aesthetic, not your cup of tea.
okay. So she texts this guy back and says, it doesn't belong to my friend. Then the guy texts back and
Oh
says,
my God, give it up.
he's like, no, it's his. I saw him walk into the building and I have footage from the video monitor of him dropping the sweater on the ground. It's definitely his. She's like, are you sure this is not? And I'm like, it's not mine. She's
Why
like,
would I like lie about a sweater not being mine?
going, it is definitely not his. 100%. We're absolutely certain it's not
But
his.
thank you. Like, enough.
Bing, he texts back with the clip of the video of the guy dropping the sweater, which obviously is not me. And
Right.
you can tell right away it's not me. So she texts him back. I mean, this is over the course of like 45 minutes. He just keeps insisting. I mean,
Like, why is he so excited? Like, keep the sweater then, man. Like,
who cares? I mean, maybe you're the kind of guy who would wear a Zara, whatever it is, sweater, you know? I've seen you in sweaters, and a lot of them are fairly boxy, and you like the
fairly boxy.
You know, you like the
That's my autobiography.
Fairly boxy. You like the crew neck and the boat neck and yeah, keep it. Who cares?
Right.
But he's like fighting.
You think that somebody's like life is on the line. It's a sweater.
Fighting with her over text about the fact that this has to be my sweater.
And that means he had to go to the footage, find that exact moment, edit it out, get it onto his phone. Because that isn't easy.
Check to see where the person goes in the building. Like, in other words, this is the front door of the building, and I had to take the elevator up a bunch of floors and walk down a long hallway. So he went and looked at the footage from that camera and then was like, let's see where this person goes. And followed me all the way to my friend's apartment and was like, oh, I see. It's that. Now let me get in touch with that. And so it just goes on and on. I don't remember how many, but it was way past the point of just accept the fact that it is. And I wonder what's going through this guy's head. Is he just thinking it really is his sweater, but she is depriving him of the sweater. I keep insisting. Or is it there's something weird going on and they're denying, maybe there's DNA in the sweater from a crime scene or
right. Or if he thinks that you guys are gaslighting him of I see that you dropped the sweater. I need to show you the proof of why I think this because I'm going insane.
Oh, you're talking about the classic drop a sweater in front of the door and see who picks it up ploy? Yeah. We love to deploy that ploy. But it was just I couldn't believe it because I was there the whole time. And every time the phone dinged with another message, it was what the fuck is happening right now? You know?
You should have been bring it over. I'll try it on. It won't fit me. It's the OJ trial.
If the sweater doesn't fit, gives a shit.
Please go away.
Right. Leave us alone.
So how did it resolve?
It ultimately resolved with him going, sorry, I mistook you for another person going to a different apartment. So
yes, I could have told you that the first text.
Also, that means he went back and rewatched all the footage and figured out that it was somebody else and watched that person go to a different apartment. This guy is the fucking tech nerd on CSI who just sits.
I know, he needs a hobby big time.
You know? What the? Anyway, it was. Life is fun, you know. It's filled with all sorts of interesting, fun moments. So that's my checking in. Is that I just got very.
You got framed for dropping sweaters. You would never drop a sweater.
I don't drop sweaters. I will drop a glass. I'll drop a
Oh, every single day.
I mean, I cannot serve food for the life of me, but a sweater? Come on. Precious cargo. All right. So we are going to keep it tight tonight.
Okay.
Because Abby has to get to her clown show, and you're going
2 months in the making, so there's a lot on the line.
You always want to be ready when you go to a clown show. Like, you want to know which show it is and when it is, and
Well, that's I don't know if I expressed this enough. Like, that's what was so funny. Like, a clown show feels like something that it's like you walk by and go to, or like you hear about it that day. Like, it doesn't feel like.
I mean, I have tickets to see Cirque du Soleil in Toledo, Ohio in 6 years.
But I mean, it's not like seeing a show at the Pantages. It's not something that I need to get tickets.
Right.
Far in advance.
I got a text message from the guy who is this manager of that building saying, "Did you lose a sweater and you want to go to
6 weeks ago?" Yeah.
No, my hair person, my barber. It's not a barber. She's my beauty
stylist.
My stylist, yes. Texted me just out of the blue and was like, "Do you know anything about the clown stuff at the whatever the theater is that it's at?" And I was like, "I know that it happens there. I don't know anything."
It's popping, yeah.
So it is. The word is spreading among the Abby community and among the hairstylist community. So I hope the show is not sold out. But if it is, it's okay.
I mean, it's not. We bought tickets 2 months ago.
They won't even open the doors until you guys get there. You guys
number one fan.
Yeah.
Truly, when she said you want to see a show, I thought she would be like, Thursday or next Thursday, not like in 2 months. And I was like, sure, I'll be available.
You want to go to an open mic in 2034?
Right.
All right, it's time for a segment on the show that we call Parting Shots. Let's start today with Amber, your parting shot. Please.
Yeah. Yes. It's all going to be TV related, which is so sad. It's the opposite of what I was talking about in the checking in.
I love TV. I'm a big person.
Did you watch the first season of Schmigadoon? I forget if we talked about this. It's like all classic musical references, and I think you would like it and think it's funny.
Now, when I saw the new season commercial the other day, I was like, I should watch this.
You should watch it. But season 2 started, and they did something really fun where it's still, because the first season is like old school, like 50s musicals. Brigadoon is the obvious one because that's where the name comes from. But it references, like Music Man and stuff like that. And so the second season, the timeline has just jumped a little bit, and now it's like Chicago and Hair and I'm trying to think of other ones.
Schmicago and Schmer.
Well, they say "Welcome to Schmicago." That's one of the songs. And like Sweet Charity. It's like very Fosse, very dark, and it's really funny.
Cabaret.
Totally, Cabaret is one of them. But that is one of the numbers that really made me laugh. Where they're definitely doing. It's like a nod to Big Spender from Sweet Charity, and all the dance and it's in the cabaret, like Cabaret, and our two leads who are the straight
right
men are in the audience, and like the performers are just doing Fosse choreography and saying like like basically the premise is like, are we freaking you out? And they're like, no, like you're just dancing. And they're like, I kissed a girl once, and they're like, great, like it's really funny. I think you would like it.
We're being outside the lines here in the 60s, but it's actually 2020, so the transgressions are no longer transgressions.
Right. And like that's the whole thing, is like we're trying really, really, really hard to freak you out. It's like the lyrics.
So I'm gonna watch that.
Yes. I'm very late to the game. I think I watched the first season of Barry when it came out, and I don't exactly know why I didn't catch the second season. I think it was just like a timing situation. But I basically spent
You had 2 years to watch it.
well, because there's been a second season and a third season.
Oh, right.
So we spent the weekend, we watched all of season 2, and I was like, we just binge something. We're not bingers. And Jeff was like, I hate that word. Like, please don't stop saying that. But and we started season 3 and we're pretty deep into that. And it's great. It's really fun. So I'm recommending something like 4 years old.
Yeah.
And
I've watched the pilot a million times for my classes.
Oh,
Probably one of my favorite pilots of all times. Like,
yeah,
it's really good.
Well, because it's like a sketch. Like the idea is
a very dark undercurrent.
No. But like what I mean is like the idea in the game is like relatively simple. Like
simple.
A killer takes acting classes.
Yeah, so easy.
That is, and the guy who plays NoHo Hank is so funny, and it's like the most interesting character I've seen in a really long time. And then the episode of Succession last night was so incredible, and no I can't stop thinking about it.
But the game has changed on Succession. Just think about the name Succession and think about what leads to Succession, and maybe you'll understand. The episode last night was about, every episode is about Succession, but this was really the Succession of Succession.
Yeah. But no, I was moved. Those are some good actors.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes you think about, I don't know. For me, it made me think about, like, when that time comes, have I said things I want to say to the people that I care about,
And I would argue and hope that you have a less complicated relationship than those characters have with their family.
We can argue about it, sure. And hope is the thing.
You're not like, you haven't tried to destroy each other multiple times publicly.
No, a couple times with my brothers, we would fart.
It was private, yeah.
But just like the physical act of farting on each other was an attempt to destroy each other. But it never went further than that. Okay, any other TV related things?
Those were the big things that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, I will follow up on that with a TV recommendation of my own. And I've only watched like 3 episodes of this show, but I find it very amusing. It's a show called Jury Duty on Freevee.
Oh my God.
You have Freevee, but if you don't, you can get it very inexpensively.
Is it in the name?
But Jury Duty is a reality show where they follow people who have jury duty and go into a trial as the jury, except everybody in the show is an actor except for one guy. So
oh my God. It's like punking one person, basically.
Well, it's like, there was a show called Joe Schmo years ago that did this in like a dating show context where everybody on the show was an actor except for him. And
right.
And of course, what happens is, and it's exactly what's happening on this show, is ultimately the guy that they're punking turns out to be a really nice guy and kind of like is sweet to everybody. And they're being so crazy and outrageous.
Aww.
But it is really, really funny.
Wait, I think I saw a clip of it today on like TikTok, and I was like, what is this? But it was like James Marsden.
Okay, so that's exactly what I was just going to say.
Like stood up and was like, I can't be here because I'm James Marsden. And the judge is like, does anyone know his work?
He plays himself, and he's gone in for jury duty. And like, again, talk about simple games. Like, it's a couple things. It's that he goes in for jury duty and he's talking to this guy. Like, somebody comes over and is like requesting a photo with him while he's sitting next to the guy. And the guy's like, I thought I knew you from somewhere, but you're the X-Men. And he's just pissed that people only know him from X-Men. And he's like, done lots of other things. I did this and this. He goes through everything. And it's so funny. And he's like trying to get out of jury duty because he's a celebrity, but the judge won't pay any attention to him. And then he's like, I got this big script coming in, and you guys, I can't tell you anything about it. I can't say the director's name. And then the whole time he's going like, holy shit, oh my God, this is amazing. Like he's reading. He's really great. And he's
I
like,
think he's a fantastic talent.
making fun of his own career, which I think
Yeah.
and he's had a very successful career, which makes it easier to make fun of it. But what I forgot, and I was like, I know he was in one of the shitty movies that we talked about on
27 Dresses.
in 27 Dresses. Oh, so good. Anyway, I highly recommend that show. And then
Wow. Okay, this is wonderful because I was like, I watched the clip and I enjoyed it, but I was like, what is this? Is this like an actual court? Like, what is going on?
And there's a former guest of the podcast on the show, Kirk what's his name? Kirk Fox?
Yes, I saw him too. So I was like, okay, something's up, but I don't know what this is.
And it's funny because he's also, he's in Reservoir Dogs. He's amazing in that. But I guess, there is a certain level of celebrity, or I guess that's not even celebrities. There's a certain level of success where people are still not going to recognize you, even though he's done 3 seasons of that show. But he's very funny. I mean, not everybody is great. It's a hard thing because you're coming into this world as an actor doing a bit, and it's like, how hard do you push the bit? And people they don't play it exactly right. And
it's a very specific tone. Yeah. Or if it's too underplayed, it's almost like sad or something.
There's one guy who is like just a weird dude who has all kinds of things. Like he has like a pouch that he brings water in, and he's like drinking water from his pouch. And then he's like, I had food crushed up into a paste, so I'm drinking food. And then one day he shows up with chair pants, just pants that have legs on the back of them so you can sit down. And then there's a woman who's absolutely fantastic. I think she might be my favorite. Just like a weird woman who is really, really funny. Anyway. But here's the other thing. And I look, I know that I am not the brightest bulb in the garden, but sometimes I have moments of inspiration, and I'm struck by something that I had never thought about before. And I had one of those moments this week. And I know that it's a thing. Like when I say this, you're going to be like, of course, you idiot. Why would you not have thought of that by now? But I
bet sound like me.
You fucking moron.
You piece of shit.
That's how I hear everybody talk to me. That way. But I had this moment this week where I had kind of an epiphany about something, and I'm like, I'm sure everybody else already knew this, but just in case there's like one person out there, and it's so tiny, so insignificant, but I got out of the shower this week and I was like, I need to go do something in the kitchen. So I wrapped a towel around myself. I was like, it is fucking freezing out here. You know what? I'm going to take another towel and put that around my shoulders. And I was like, holy shit, I can use 2 towels at the same time if I want to. It took me until this point to realize that it's okay to use 2 towels at the same time.
Well, I regularly use 2 towels, but it's like one's on my hair and one's on my body.
Hair towel is different.
But can I tell you something? That towels and being warm and being covered, incredibly important in my life. I always joke with Jeff that like the towels cannot be big enough. Like I want.
Well, yes.
But so like in hotels, almost across the board, no good. It's like little washcloths. Hate it. So for our anniversary, he got me towels, which sounds anyway. But they're bigger than beach towels. They're called bath sheets. I didn't even know these existed, and it's like way bigger than me. They're so big, and I love it so much.
Have you ever tried Google bath sheets?
What did you say to me?
No, bath sheets. But here's the thing. You're talking about the size of the towel. You are like a third the size of me.
I know. It's ridiculous that I need a big towel. For
me, I'm like
7 bath sheets.
Yeah,
I want every part of me covered. I don't want a single part of me not covered.
Area of a tugboat. So I'm like, can I just get? Anyway, my plan is to go this week to Target, because here's the other thing is I'll use a towel and then I'll be like, well, I only have like 4 of them, so I'll just hang this one over the door and use it a few times. Now I'm like, I'm going to get like 50 of these fucking things. Use them whenever I want.
Kleenex.
Yeah, who cares, man? Because it just made such a difference in my comfort
live
level.
a little, yeah.
I felt like a rich person.
I really don't want to. I know we're doing baby steps. I don't want to blow your mind. I don't want to like go too far.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard of a robe?
I have heard of those. No, but it's the same thing. It's so hard for me to find a robe that actually fits me, you know? I'll get a robe and I'll tie it as tight as possible. It'll be this open in the front, which, as you may be aware, leads to you got to be fully dressed to wear that robe around, you know?
Right.
So I'm on the lookout for a good robe.
Okay.
You know, if boxers can wear robes into the ring, I should be able to find a robe that, you know, it might have a hood on it. It might have my name across the back. Who knows? But we'll see.
One of those ones that like makes you look like you're a teddy bear or something when you put the hood on. That's pretty cute.
All right. Well, that's our parting shots. Check out a lot of TV shows.
And use towels.
Yeah. It'll make you feel like a rich person. And Google Calendar. Today's podcast sponsored by Google.
Go ahead and deploy that Google Calendar.
If it's not on Google, it's not. All right. Well, hit that like and subscribe. Smash that like and subscribe. Mash that like and subscribe if you're in Alabama or Georgia. And we'll see you next time on The Long Shot. Bye.
Bye.
How does this all blend together? You're getting closer and I can't get your makeup off of my chin. And when do we dry off completely? That's this unfortunate predicament I'm finding myself in. It's coffee or soda, or coffee and soda, or pretzels and coffee, and candy and soda. And why don't you chew in 10-2 like you're supposed to, when only the sun lasts forever? It's coffee or soda, or coffee and soda, or pretzels and coffee, and candy and soda. And why don't you chew in 10-2 like you're supposed to?